I was asked to start doing some fleet videos, so today I'll be taking my first crack at my favorite fleets for the solo industrialist. We will start with the best rosters for 3 Alpha UEC categories: 1 million, 2.5 million, and 5 million. I will go ahead and post the full list of my picks here in a moment if you want the details post haste, but I have some reasoning behind some of my choices that I'll explain through the video so you can understand my choices better. We will go over them and consider each fleet from different angles for different folks. So, we get to what the 3x3 stands for in the title of the video. As you can see, I picked 3 different fleets for each of the 3 budget or price points. These are just my picks for the current ships you can get with Alpha UEC in game, so please keep that in mind. Let's get into it. For 1 million Alpha UEC, we start with what I call the classic roster. Alright, the first one for you is a general all-arounder. Across the board, you won't have a hard time finding recommendations anywhere you look for these, and here is what I would spend a million GZC on, as I earned it. You can do this in order, but it's not necessary. Starting with the Avenger Titan base model, this ship is absolutely fantastic. I personally consider this ship as the OG Darth Vader to the Luke Skywalker that is known as the Premium Starter Package philosophy that was officially coined when the Consolidated Outland Nomad was released. At least, that's the first time I remember seeing it directly advertised. The Avenger Titan has good cargo, is a joy to fly, flies well, can defend itself, and is slightly more capable than a Pisces. I prefer the Titan personally, although you have probably seen me using a Pisces quite often when I'm using the Carrack. You can also rent this baby for an hour's worth of box missions in an Aurora and start snowballing that GZC. The Avenger Titan is one of the best ships for under 1 million aUEC, at least in my opinion. It doesn't leave a lot of change left over, but it offers capabilities that other ships even at the 1.5 million UEC mark do not. The next ship in the classic roster is a choice, either to suit your style. Your main moneymaker would be either your starter ship package or whatever is in your RSI website hangar, and the Avenger Titan. The Grey Cat Rock is an absolute beast of a moneymaker in game, but I encourage you not to stick the Grey Cat Rock in the back of an Avenger. I'd recommend using the rock in a Cutlass Black rental, they rent those out all over the place, or landing at an outpost for a little while and spawning the Grey Cat there. You can transfer the cargo from the rock directly to the Titan manually if needed. It won't be long with these 2 vehicles that you will make enough to jump straight into Caterpillar hauling territory. So this is a powerful duo for the money. If you don't care to mess with the Grey Cat Rock, I'd recommend picking up a Pisces as a backup daily driver instead, or even a land vehicle like a Cyclone. Those are some of the cheapest vehicles in game, and you can slap some cargo in the base model. Okay, so I named this next roster the Tourist. If you have something that can make you industrial money already, and you are into the finer things, even at the 1 million Alpha UEC mark, this is the roster for you. First, I'd like to recommend a Mustang Beta or an Origin 100i, paired with a land vehicle or a parasite craft, depending on how much over the 1 mil mark you really want to go. These budgets aren't exact down to the UEC, but the small 50k over or under is so minimal in Star Citizen that you are talking about minutes of gameplay, so I'm not trying to split hairs here. If you are into the finer things and have something like an Origin 315p for your starter package, you already are ahead of the game. But if you're rocking an Aurora or a fighter like an Arrow to make your Alpha UEC, you may be the type of individual that wants to fly in luxury when not going pew-pew, or whatever it is you do when not hobnobbing around. This also opens the ability for you to do the VIP escort gameplay loop, eventually, or show a friend around the verse with some nice trim for their first visit. I personally have a hard time getting my IRL friends to try Star Citizen, and I'm all about that BMM Consolidated Outlands pioneer life. So Origin isn't exactly my flavor. If it was, I have mad respect for the 100i and the 315p. The B52 is fun too, and if you like the CNOU look more, the Mustang Beta was the original stealth sleeper van before the 100i, and I had it at one point. Next up, the Pew Pew Industrialist roster. I'm not really into combat anymore. I've had my fill of it in SC and other games. However, I understand that many players love bounty hunting, PvP, PvE Pew? Is that a thing? And so on. This is what I would do with my first 1 million Alpha UEC. First, I would save up and get an Anvil Arrow for 972,300 Alpha UEC. I'll make that back in a weekend with that ship. Fantastic, great flight response, and just an absolutely gorgeous ship. I used to have one, but I didn't get to use it much with the Carrack because of the wings, and I don't feel like breaking off the land gear to take it along. That's just another step. However, I still love it. It's a great option. If you want to spread the 1 million budget further and maybe get the Arrow later, I would maybe recommend picking up an Avenger Titan and either putting some custom components in it with the remainder of your Skrilla, or maybe getting a land vehicle with guns or cargo capacity. Moving on to the 2.5 million mark, we'll move on to the classic core I would consider as a roster for this budget. Since this is the first time that I have done a fleet video, it will be a little longer so that I can provide value first. I thought about separating this into 3 videos, but it seems like we are going at a nice pace, so let me throw some T.F.I's classic core at you. Prospector for 2 mil, Grey Cat Rock, and keep the change. Maybe put a nice mining laser on it. Until we see what refueling or salvage looks like, this is the way if you aren't doing cargo hauling, in my opinion. This will help you get ships and gear in no time and can be a relaxing experience as well. Moving to the second roster for the 2.5 mil budget, my classic core. I admittedly don't use a prospector very often anymore, not because I don't have one, but because I personally have spent a shameful amount of time in one. I got into Star Citizen for different professions, like running a BMM, or building a base with the Pioneer, so that's why you don't see a prospector in this version or my version of the classic core. Meanwhile, the classic core here that I'm showing is either a Freelancer Max with a Grey Cat Rock and a bike, or you could do something like a Freelancer Dur or even a Freelancer Miss, depending on what you are looking to get done. But Fry, you say, why would you recommend a Freelancer Dur? Because that longer range and other features are going to make it really shine when Pyro comes out, just as a suggestion and consideration. Again, there is no right way to do this or build your roster, just my thoughts on how I would spend the aUEC personally. And no, I don't prefer the Freelancer series. I actually have a Cutlass and don't currently have a Freelancer. Sticking to the 2.5 mil budget, this roster still allows you to even have a chance to defend yourself, but also still have access to other game loops and professions. Moving forward, besides best all-arounders across the board, we have the tourist roster for 2.5 mil aUEC as well. Here's how I would spend it. Sorry, no pew pew in the 2.5 mil budget tier. That one didn't make it because I wanted to slide the previous roster in. Let's move a bit quicker, since you probably know what you want going forward and have a bit more time in thinking about what suits you. For tourists at 2.5 mil, I recommend simply getting either a Razor or an M50, whichever suits your interests more. Check the variants for what they are spec'd out for. Paired with one of those ships, I'd pick up one of the 300 series from Origin, or consider maybe a Mustang Beta. Moving into the big 5 mil mark, the classic core is up first. I'll recommend ships here that I used across the lifespan of this game. For the most part, ships that have a lot of gameplay and capability for what you pay for them. The Drake Caterpillar, a Grey Cat Rock, and whatever your starter package is, that's the classic core here. Next, the option if you haven't mined your soul away. This roster here consists of 2 paths. The first is to scale up from an Argo Mole and go do a couple of lower tier rocks to get some better lasers and other components, since at this price range you likely have multiple ships. The second path is to stick to a prospector, and if you include that you still have enough to get a cargo hauler and diversify your experience, such as a Freelancer or a Cutlass variant, or if you stretch another couple 100k, you can pick up a Constellation Taurus. I personally wouldn't worry too much about always focusing on what the meta alpha UEC grind is from patch to patch. I've been there in Star Citizen until recently actually, and now I am enjoying the game much more. Just my 2 cents. Alright, so if you have 5 million to spend and you want it to be white glove industry, look no further than the Mercury Star Runner. You are no longer a tourist at this point, although you may still use your Origin 100 series or 300 series as part of your service strategy for VIP transport. You are now in the business of delivering the best bang for the buck, top-notch bed and breakfast in the verse. One day, you dream to own a 600i, but the Mercury Star Runner will definitely get you there. Now that you can see some of my top choices for how I spend Alpha UEC depends on how much someone is working with at the moment. Of course, it's important to note that a lot of them are kind of designed to be modular with each other and encourage locking down your favorite professions later once you start accumulating profit. Personally, I've always spent the most time in a Drake Caterpillar and a Prospector. Before we get to my future considerations for my fleet in relation to ships we've talked about today, let's talk about future considerations that you might make. I expect the Drake Vulture to be similar to the Prospector regarding in-game pricing, but who knows how that will pan out. So, let me and the others know in the comments down low. What's your best guess for the Drake Vulture's in-game Alpha UEC cost? I'm going for somewhere under 2 mil, maybe somewhere between 1.7 mil and 1.9. Should be fun. Another ship that could make it into this category in the future and be a huge balancer during this stage of your industrial business ventures is the Aegis Vulcan. Drones, repair, refuel, rearm, doesn't matter if you have to change kits. I love it, and they haven't released a lot of concepts since this that have multiple profession loops at this size, as far as I know. Although, for my fleet, now would be a really good time for you to boop that like button. Okay, I had to slip it in somewhere. Please leave a like. I hope you found value in today's video, and we will close out with how I'm considering looking into an Argo Mole for solo play, because I've always loved the design. Seriously, if I could find an Argo Mole, derelict, and turn it into a base one day, that interior is like the perfect little industry outpost base. Out of all of the ships in my fleet, I don't have a Mole and I don't have an Orion, but I have like 90% of the other industry ships. I love Argo's design, I really do, but before I move on, I want you to know the only Argo ships I have currently are the MPUV and a CCU to the SRV, the towing vehicle. I love the interior of the raft too. If you liked today's video and would like to see more, please check out the end screen here. I'll put up another video for now, but keep an eye out for the next Star Citizen video when it drops in a couple of days. It'll be updated here. Seriously, you don't want to miss that one. It will be posted 2 days after this video is posted. So if you are from the future, go watch that video now before you miss your chance, hint hint. Stay fresh, stay effective, and stay you. See you in the verse.